The Adventurer's Log 1.1109.20. Hi, I'm Bobby. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about the 1992 Robin Williams movie, Toys. But before we get to that, let's get to this day in tech history. November 9th, 2004, the Mozilla Foundation releases version 1.0 of the Firefox web browser. Firefox is significant in internet history because it represents the first serious alternative to the dominance of Microsoft's Internet Explorer in several years. By many estimations, Internet Explorer had risen to over 90% of browser market share since the downfall of Netscape many years earlier. It is interesting to note, however, that it was Netscape itself that started the Mozilla project when it released the source code to their Netscape communicator software in 1998. It was upon this code base that the foundations of Firefox were laid. Firefox's original name was Phoenix, seemingly in tribute to the fact that out of the ashes of the fallen Netscape came a new browser. All right, so let's get into our movie. This is, like I said, a 1992 Robin Williams movie. It has Robin Williams, Michael Gambon, Robin Wright, Joan Cusack, LL Cool J, and Jamie Foxx. Ironically, this is Jamie Foxx's movie debut. So the critics really gave it. That's the image from the movie, from the box or whatever. The critics really gave it a terrible review, but it has truly become some sort of cult classic. As odd and bizarre as it is at times, I have fond memories of watching this movie with my dad growing up, especially on Fridays when I was still younger. He would take me to the local movie shop and we would rent 3 to 4 movies, and that's what we'd watch all weekend. And if there was nothing new that I wanted to see and nothing that stood out that I wanted to see, this was a movie that I always got. So it's very fond memories because it's a fun little movie. If you've never seen it, what you need to know: a war general inherits a toy company / factory. He starts making war toys, and the employees band together to stop him before he ruins the name Zevo Toys forever. That's the company that they make toys for. As a kid, I loved this because the sets on this are like straight out of the child's imagination. And I so badly wished it was a real place so I could go wander around, the different landscapes that they had and walk through Leslie, that's his character's name, walk through Leslie's home and look at all the unique stuff and walk around the factory and just play with the toys. And it to me, I feel like it's a masterpiece. I know it's very campy at times, but it's fun. And so what happens at the beginning is Leslie's father passes away. He is the creator, builder, inventor of Zevo Toys. And his uncle ends up actually inheriting the company when his father, Leslie's father, dies. And his father is an ex-general, or at the time, current general in the military. And he felt there was no need for toys. Like, yeah, there's, some need, but like he truly didn't feel it was necessary for toys to be just mass produced like it was. And he was wondering, he eventually convinces them to make war toys, and then at one point Leslie goes, "You gotta stop. This isn't going well. They're not going to do well." And so he goes. The general goes, "Okay, fine," and comes up with a new idea. Well, his new idea is basically war games, video games, and at the time that was such a new concept, because the ultimate goal was to have locations that parents could drop their kids off, and they, like schools, but they get taught how to use gaming consoles, not consoles, but gaming screens and joysticks and all of that, so that when they got old enough, when the kids got old enough, they could become part of the military and be the new futuristic fighting force. What's ironic is, like 2.5, if not 3 years after this movie came out, that's when the first set of remote controlled drones and all of that really came into fruition. It had been used since basically World War II, but really didn't come about being beneficial until about 2.5, if not 3 years after this movie. So it's a little unique to me. And they made it seem like everybody who worked at the factory was having fun, enjoying themselves, and that they loved working there because there was music playing, there were people dancing around, and it seemed like a fun atmosphere. And I, as a kid, I wished, man, I want to work at a toy factory just like that. Wow. OSHA would have issues with that. Let's see, where did I leave off? So Michael Gambon plays the general, taking over a civilian company, and has issues with differentiating between war and peace, and that's very prevalent in the whole movie. He brings in his son, who is also in the military, who is LL Cool J, and his son beefs up security because apparently there were corporate espionage on certain toys, and so military antennas popped up, and he said, I'm going to bring my son in here, and he's going to fix all this. And so his son is going around investigating and interrogating people, and it's kind of obtrusive. And when the general and his son go to a local arcade, he sees, which this is what made him think of the video games. Sorry. He goes to a local arcade and he starts playing like a tank game and, kills a couple tanks, goes, woohoo, this is fun. And then ends up destroying a civilian vehicle. And he got points taken off. He's like, what's that for? Why did I get points taken off? And he's like, his son's like, well, that was a civilian vehicle. That was a UN vehicle. You shouldn't shoot those. And so then he spends the rest of the scene, shooting the UN vehicles as opposed to the tanks. And to me, that shows he's a little unstable. Because he, Vietnam was over, and he felt like that was the last great war. And, ironically, timing of life has shown otherwise. But so it's numerous little things show that he is unstable and crazy. And to start making room for all of the general's computer game, video games, whatever, he starts taking space from other rooms, which is pretty unique because there's about 3 times, I believe it is, if not 4 times, that we see Leslie in a room, and he's talking with someone, or they're doing something, or they're in the cafeteria or whatever, and the walls just kind of shrink, and it gets smaller and smaller. And one of the times, Leslie and the people he's talking to have to crawl up onto the table that they're in the room that they're talking over. And it's kind of funny because they just nonchalantly keep talking about what they're doing, but at the same time, they're like, what the heck is going on? And there's to promote it to the military. They have some Washington guys, as they call it, come in, and they do a ultra secret, highly secured meeting. And well, as the general and the others are talking, one of them says, well, this is just kind of silly. And the general attacks him and almost kills him. And again, shows he's unstable. Then it gets to the point where the general basically turns on everybody, even his own son. And one of his men goes, wait, you want us to kill your son or attack your son and your family? And he goes, in war, there are no relatives. And the last nail, or just about the last nail in my thoughts. And right before this, actually during all this, the general is in his office listening to some massive marching band, military marching band or whatever, and he sees a fly in the room, and so he takes out his pistol and he starts shooting at the fly. Well, he blows some holes in some walls and through a door, almost hitting one of his men, and breaks a window. And then as he sits there on his desk, with his feet up, the fly lands on his foot, and he shoots the fly on his foot. Again, unstable. Crazy. And so there, the fighting's happening, or, people are getting attacked. Leslie and his people are getting attacked. And they go to the old warehouse where there's a whole bunch of the old toys, like these, like the ones behind me. And they actually wind up all the toys and have them attack the war robots that the general had made. And it's funny yet sad, because you're thinking, oh, that's funny, ha ha ha, toys are being destroyed, woo. But if you think about it, these toys represent childhood and childlike innocence, and the war toys represent adulthood and being thrust into something you're not ready for. And so the destruction of all the simple toys, to me, shows that it's the end of childhood, and that's sad. It's really sad. This is the first time I've seen it in a long time, so I didn't pick up on that as a kid. And there's really only 3 toys that survive the whole onslaught, and it's the 3 behind me. It's the baby with the dog. Here, let me get rid of this. So it's the baby with the dog, the couple that dances, and the clown. Sorry, wrong shoulder. The clown. Those are pretty much the only ones that survived the onslaught. And we actually see the baby and the dog running out of the factory, and we see the dancing couple actually dancing, and it's it's like, oh. And that to me signified childhood prevails over everything. And yes, there's people who've grown up, and I've grown up, and everybody grows up, but you can still hold on to that childlike mentality. And that is what Leslie's father, Robin Williams' character, Leslie's father, who was played by Robin Williams, his father had a childlike attitude and mentality to where his pacemaker that he had in his chest, he had it wired up to his propeller beanie hat. And when he pacemaker stopped, the propeller beanie stopped. So, it's silly, but he was a child. And one of the things that he had put in his casket with himself is a barrel of laughs. And it's just basically a box that sits there and laughs. And throughout the movie, several different people go and visit his grave, and you can still hear the laughter. And so that to me, no matter how old you are, your childlike mentality and mindset will carry you through life and will help you get through the tough times. There have been numerous times that I've climbed onto the floor and pulled out a bunch of Legos and just built. Or there's times that I've sat there and I've just played pretend with my kids. So childhood doesn't have to end when you're no longer a child. But there's also a difference between being childish and just being childlike. It's kind of a weight and balance thing. So the movie ends with kids playing with the classic toys in a Christmas event with snow and Christmas tree and all sorts of toys and fun stuff like that, as well as with Santa. And so, again, childhood prevails. And the last thing I have is Robin Williams stated that dyeing his hair orange in the costume he wore, which was bright and vibrant and very sharp, made him feel like the sixth Doctor in Doctor Who. See, there's very similar. Oh wait, you can't see it yet. There it is. But there's very similar appearances. Maybe not in this picture, but in some of the other outfits that he has in the movie. He's very vibrant and silly looking like the sixth Doctor from Doctor Who. So it is definitely worth watching. It's a very funny movie. And it's never too late to be childlike. So that's all I have for today. I hope that y'all comment, like, subscribe, all that fun jazz. But take a chance and explore something new or old, but new to you. Adventure is out there. Go find it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.